welcome to the video. Today we're going to be going over sort of a how-to solo shuffle. Now, I don't do much solo shuffle, but I do a lot of arenas. That do. For fuck's sake. Essentially, it is a how-to solo shuffle. It's going to be going over what I'm thinking in the moment. This is obviously over 6 rounds. I don't usually do a lot of solo shuffle purely on the basis that I enjoy the communication side of threes and arenas a lot more, and also queue times. I can't be asked to wait for a queue to pop, so essentially I'm not necessarily going in a lot of the time. But yeah, this is a 6-round solo shuffle. I believe this was 1 caster and 2 melee, so even Stevens, especially on the healer side, as it is 2 disc priests, so nothing really changed there. I think a lot of this comes down to who they're going to train in sort of a, like, on the basis of it. So as you can see, it's only like 2k MMR. It's not too crazy. But essentially, it's just going through my thought process and what I'm thinking is happening in the moment and why I want to be sort of using what I'm using. This guy, obviously, well, this is like 3 a.m. This was like peak, times. So this guy is obviously having the time of his life. But essentially, we're looking at this. We called him Warrior, nice and easy. We go forward a tiny bit. I say we go forward. I want to go forward, but I guess it will not allow me. Essentially, yeah, with double melee, you always know that you want to be spread out from. You want to be playing in a sort of triangle, and Demon Hunter is passively quite annoying. Not to mention Warrior just being a little bit squishier than the Demon Hunter, but Ignore Pain has changed that. So I see here that they're kind of splitting up. It's kind of like a one-on-one situation. So I get domed here. I'm not in any danger. I also thorns myself, so they go straight onto my shaman. So it just allows me to pump. I put my Nature's Vigil, Heart of the World, so I can help out with some of the healing on my shaman. That way my priest can get a little bit aggro, so my disc priest can actually start doing damage. The priest has moved into a very nice position for me here. I managed to get the clone off before he got the double fear. If he got the double fear, then that's my priest trinket, most likely, and mine as well. But essentially, they're just going to chase my shaman, and I've got to do the best that I can to peel as well as do damage at the same time. So anything that is off DR, I will definitely look to Cyclone, such as the priest DR just came off, so I'll try and get to him. But you shouldn't necessarily be looking for any CC in solo shuffle. Just raw damage is more than enough to do it. And if the opportunity for CC arises, such as now, then you take it, because the priest moved towards me. They wanted to connect to the shaman. The shaman moved behind me, so I was sort of I was a middleman, essentially, is what I wanted to be there. And essentially, the priest had to move through me to follow his melee DPS. So I got some free CC on him, essentially. And out of that root beam, I would have cloned a couple times. Therefore, he would have been stuck in crowd control for about 12, 13 seconds. That would have been more than enough time to kill the warrior anyway, if we didn't kill him almost immediately. Here, you just kind of go to the next game. Even if you have a really bad loss, you kind of just say, okay, GG, go next round. You just call the target. Target's Ellie, so I'm like, okay, well, this warrior I can probably look to manipulate in terms of his positioning. I'm trying to get aggro here for a root beam so that we can start it off early, but I really want to be careful with how far I'm going here, mainly due to the fact that, yeah, Ellie's a good target, but I could have dragged the warrior really far back, looking at it now, and have been, like, he would have been really on the back foot. So here he's just continuously lining his priest, so I'm like, okay, screw it, I'll hit this warrior. The warrior's dying, the shaman's dying, our priest is getting nice mind controls and CC. So, like, they were dragging him so far, the healer. The warrior going around that pillar made the healer basically position very poorly. Our priest was in a very good position to take advantage of that and CC. And we were probably going to get a double kill there. Either way, if the shaman doesn't die, I'm pretty sure the warrior does die. So, obviously, you have a warrior that's getting angry. Yeah, it's ridiculous. He's saying I had no damage. I think this guy fails to realize that I'm pretty much had a lot more damage in store for him still. Obviously start off with the root beam. I get a full, or I get the trinket out of that immediately. Everyone sends their trinkets in solo shuffle. It's a good idea to use because obviously you don't necessarily have the communication. So just sending raw damage is the best way to go about it. Here I'm looking to just root and CC the Demon Hunter on his metamorphosis. Because I see that he is CCing my priest, and I'm just running him away. I could have shadow melded that a bit earlier, and obviously got the not taking the initial damage. Here, I'm just looking to drag the Demon Hunter very far, but not on top of my priest. I do not want the Demon Hunter anywhere near my priest right now, because any CC on my priest is almost like a guaranteed kill on our warrior because of where he is playing. Here, the Shaman's playing it really smart, actually. He's playing it around the pillar, so I can't necessarily do much to him. I don't want to necessarily move in to get the kill. I should probably be going on top of the priest because ultimately there's no real danger for me. But him peeking out, he knows that he fucked up. I just sort of get to cleave them down a little bit here. I'm just tab targeting, doing as much damage as I can, basically PvEing. I root beam the healer low, so they're all low, and we basically have a selection of 3 targets to kill here. The Demon Hunter's off me now as well, which is really, really good. It means that I can just get aggressive. I kind of move in here to try and secure the kill on the Shaman, the Great Grounding Totem. It really did save him. But here I'm just looking to drag the Demon Hunter away from his healer so that he can't necessarily get healed, and I can potentially kill him myself. But he realizes this, runs back. They are absolutely reeling at this point. As you can see, the Demon Hunter went too far from his healer in the end and wasn't able to get topped up. Everyone was just rotting down there, and that was due to just position-wise. You really want to be careful where you are positioning, especially as a melee. You do not want to be dragged so far from your healer in solo shuffle, especially on a big map like Maldraxx's Colosseum. You want to be very much aware of your surroundings, especially where your healer is, because that can be the difference between you losing a round and winning a round, is how far you are willing to commit to that target. Here we call for the Ellie. Again, I look to think like I can manipulate where the warrior is. I know that he wants me most likely. So obviously he connects here. I shadow meld bark. No, shadow meld thorns. Sorry, I should thorns here. Yep, I thorns and try and drag him away. So the reason I try and drag him away is because I see where his priest is right now. My Demon Hunter is on the Shaman, and I can do a lot of damage to this guy. He is hitting into thorns, and I have so much damage for this guy. I almost solo him, but he has to trinket, run away immediately. See, this is what I mean by positioning. You can really be a detriment to your team if you commit way too far. Here is actually a really unfortunate loss. Our guy gets storm bolted. Our guy gets hexed. I do not have a decurse, but I managed to get a clone on the priest. I'm pretty sure my Demon Hunter here dies, and I'm not too sure why. He's using dark. He had nether and stuff. It's me or him that dies, but I am also very much a detriment to my healer right now because I'm the opposite side to where my Demon Hunter is, so he's having to run between like 2 sides of the pillar, which really isn't good. I'm really putting him in a awful position, and to be honest, he's done well enough to keep me alive for this long. Here I'm just trying to kite the warrior. It's unlucky the grip on the charge, but again, I'm just trying to kite the warrior away from everyone so that he can't be dispelled. If I root him, I bash him and clone him here, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So I just want to keep him far away. He has no trinket. I'm pretty sure I just root him here as well. He reflected. Okay. And then he connects to me, and I think I just drop. It's a really good void shift, but I think I ultimately just drop to warrior damage. I can't remember. The shaman is very low. The spear is very good. It is a very good Hail Mary spear, I would say. Thorns, he's pumping into thorns. I try and get back to my dome, but it is very unfortunate. I was very detrimental to my own healer, purely on the basis that my Demon Hunter wanted to commit to the shaman, but I should have committed with him so that my healer wasn't necessarily running in between both of us. And as a caster, you need to be very much aware of where your melee friend is, because if they are committing, your priest ideally wants to be with them because they are the most likely to die if they're around a pillar and something. So you kind of have to be the buffer point in between your healer and your melee DPS, essentially. Here we obviously have a couple casters against a couple melee. Casters are obviously the supreme. I'm only kidding. But yeah, essentially, we know which target that we want. I know who they're going on. They're going Shaman, so I immediately thorns him. And it's like, okay, well, now they're switching me, which means my Shaman can get his damage out. He can really get his damage out. It's a great Hex, but he did def it. So here, everyone's just rotting. We're hitting everything. Shaman pressure is really good if it's split. We get a lot of cooldowns out from here. We get Blur. I managed to bash him on the trinket and get his trinket, sorry. So here it's just about doing the most damage as possible. The priest is over here. The warrior's so far, so I push him back, try and clone. We know that we got his trinket. And essentially the warrior, once again, is way too far away from his healer. He cannot help him. The healer's trying to run away because he thought that we were going to go him, but he ran too far away and the warrior went the opposite direction. So it's very much, how do you capitalize on it? You've got to look for these openings to capitalize. This guy was so mad, by the way, this warrior. Yeah, you can see I just click on him like, okay, dude. Die on LOS, please, again. I think he's just complaining that, like, it was LOS. But, yeah, it's one of them things. Like, this guy was so angry, it was ridiculous. There's no need for that. I did report him after the game as well, because it's just, I can't be asked with that sort of behaviour and well. But again, we know that our warrior's tilted. We kind of just need to end this really quickly, because the longer a game goes on, when you've got someone tilted on your team, the tougher it is to win. So essentially, we just full send it at this Shaman. We try and get absolutely everything out of them. A really good hex. Oh, no, didn't get hex. So we got Paints up immediately. I Thorns my guy because they're going to go him. The Demon Hunter is pumping into Thorns, which means that the Priest is having to output more and more heals. In this instance, I should probably innovate my Priest as well so that I can potentially get a second one. But here, I just drag the Demon Hunter away and force Netherwalk out purely on my own. That's the thing. If you position them in a bad spot, you can get a shit ton of cooldowns from them. So here, the Demon Hunter obviously has darkness, and I am very much aware of that. And essentially, what you want to do is just pump damage. Like, a lot of melees and a lot of your teammates, until you get to like 2400, do not understand how to utilize their cooldowns effectively. This is what I've realized in solo shuffle. That Demon Hunter had darkness. He could have darked the Shaman there, and they would have been fine. He could have darked them when the healer was in a bash and a clone and stuff like that. He would have been fine. But instead, he chose to do damage. It's one of them things, you know, like, you don't necessarily think about it in the moment, but as a melee, you don't think about it, in my opinion. Here, I'm wondering what the fuck killed the Shaman, and obviously it's the classic Shadow Word Death at the moment, which is hitting for about 60k in total with the expansion or whatever the fuck it's called. So it's very much, you want to exploit positioning. Positioning is the biggest thing in a solo shuffle. If you can get your positioning perfect in a solo shuffle, you will win games most of the time, 90% of the time, purely on the basis that their healer's being dragged out so that he can get CC'd. Their DPS might be too far away to even get healed. They might go around a pillar and get CC'd, kidney shot, bashed, whatever, lassoed. You really want to make use of positioning in solo shuffle more than anything else in the game. It's very, very important, and I cannot stress it enough. And also, you want to keep an eye out for your teammates. You want to be peeling for them as much as possible. You want to be sort of outputting the most pressure as you can so that it makes the DPS that are on them a bit more like, whoa, hang on, I can't go out there because they're pumping a shit ton of damage and I've got no defensive cooldowns to use, that kind of thing. So it's trying to find that perfect balance, essentially, in these solo shuffle games. But it all comes down to what you're playing against as well. I can come up against three other melees, and I get trained most of the game. I'm kind of relying on my other DPS to pump the damage. Say it's a warrior with me. I'm relying on my warrior to mostly pump, while I'm trying to just do my best at kiting and CCing the healer, and then dump out my damage as and when I can. So when he's got them in a Spear of Bastion or something like that. So it's all about timing as well as positioning and knowing sort of what is going to happen in the game before it's even happened. But that is it for today. Thanks all very much for tuning in. Now, obviously, this is a very different type of video. I just thought I'd give my sort of ideas on how I play the game and what I do in the middle of the game, my thought process on why I press certain things. You know, it's more to help you guys out that are playing solo shuffle and getting into PvP. It might be a stepping stone to getting into the ranked 3v3 ladder. Because I feel like it is very much a stepping stone in terms of, oh, this is an introduction, this is what it could be, and then you add communication to it, and it's like, oh, now I can go into 3v3s and try and push in that regard, that kind of thing. But I really hope this helps you out. Thank you all very much for watching, and take care. Peace all.